Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Erik Stanley from Eastern New Mexico University. Thanks for having me at the New Mexico Association of Museums conference this year. I'm going to be talking about a project that we did at Eastern New Mexico in this presentation titled Classroom Pedagogy in Museum Exhibit Design. This presentation explores museum exhibit design as a focus of student research and a pedagogical tool at the university level. In this presentation, I'm going to be talking about a case study in which the Department of Anthropology at Eastern New Mexico University worked in conjunction with the Art and Graphic Arts Department here as well, and the Roosevelt County History Museum, located on the campus of Eastern New Mexico University, in order to facilitate undergraduate research in museum display design. This project took place in the class Native Americans of the Southwest, which was a mixed undergraduate and graduate class in the Department of Anthropology that studied the comparative lives of Native Americans of the Southwest, both in the past as well as the present. In this class, 13 students conducted research on a variety of topics related to Native Americans in Eastern New Mexico, including Navajo weaving practices, the long walk to Bosque Redondo by the Navajo, the Buffalo Wars against the Comanche in Eastern New Mexico, Comanche gender roles and subsistence patterns, Kiowa dress and clothing, Kiowa religion and ritual, the importance of the prehistoric skeleton known as Arch Woman found at Gria National Wildlife Refuge, as well as Native American use of water resources in Eastern New Mexico. While I previously taught this class twice before, for the first time this year, this class also included a large component on applying the lessons of the classroom to professional museum setting. While in past versions of this class, students wrote a paper about a cultural aspect of one of the Native American groups that used to live in Eastern New Mexico. This year, we've taken it a step further and allowed the students to work with the museum in order to share their research with a wider audience. Rather than the term paper being the final assignment in the class as it had been in previous years, this year I moved the term paper to the middle of the semester, and this allowed the second half of the semester to be devoted to museum exhibit and design. This topic was chosen because of the lack of visibility about Native Americans in the Roosevelt County History Museum, even though there were a number of artifacts related to these groups in the upstairs of the museum. And so based on this perceived omission, the director of the Roosevelt County History Museum worked in conjunction with this class to create a space for Native American exhibits within the museum, while my class created the signage and displays necessary to give these artifacts the necessary historical and ethnographic context. This pedagogical method of combining classroom student research with museum design helped create beneficial outcomes for both the student and the museum, including providing the materials for a renovation of the Native American section of the Roosevelt County History Museum, as well as providing professional experience for students interested in further museum design work. And over the course of the semester, students had multiple opportunities to visit the museum in order to observe the Native American artifacts on display there, as well as think about how their research would fit in with the larger overall narrative of the museum. Students in this class also had the opportunity to practice ethnographic skills when twice this semester they interviewed the museum director, Mark Romero, about the needs and limitations of the museum's exhibit space. And this project with the Roosevelt County History Museum built on an earlier pilot study I conducted in 2017 with my ethnographic methods class. In this earlier project, 2 undergraduate students along with 2 graduate students constructed a museum exhibit at the Blackwater Draw Museum, also located at Eastern New Mexico University, about water use and conservation in the region. And this pilot study gave me a lot of insight into ways to streamline this project in order to make it doable within the course of a semester for students. And one of the most prominent comments I received from this earlier pilot study was that it would be an ideal situation to include graphic arts students and professors in the project in order to create a high quality output. And so based on these previous student comments, this year I decided to do this project as an interdisciplinary collaboration with the Department of Art and Graphic Design here at Eastern New Mexico. In addition to closely working with the museum and its director, the class also had the opportunity in 4 co-working sessions to work with Scott Golem's graphic design class here at Eastern New Mexico University. These co-working sessions allowed students to refine the design of their exhibits, as well as make them look more professional for public display. During these co-working sessions, anthropology students presented their research findings to graphic design students who helped them transform these ideas into a museum exhibit design or a brochure. Working with the graphic arts class was a great opportunity for the anthropology students and helped standardize a typography, a color set, and a design template for the exhibits. These co-working sessions helped the anthropology students to focus not only on the content of their exhibits, but also on the way it was presented to the audience. And a large portion of the time was focused on accessibility and making these signs readable to a large segment of the museum population. Based on the design limitations of the museum, as well as the materials available to graphic arts, students in my Native Americans of the Southwest class had a number of different formats which they could use to convey their material to the public. And so students could either make one 11 by 17 exhibit sign, a series of 3 smaller 5 by 8 signs, or one 11.5 by 8 3-fold brochure. And in their exhibit narratives, students emphasize both the educational and interpretation aspects of combining historical and archaeological artifacts from the museum with their own student research. And at the end of the semester, students from the anthropology class, along with their partners in graphic arts, gave a public presentation of their exhibits, as well as took questions and answers from the audience about some of the challenges and opportunities they had when designing these projects. So next up, I'm going to take you on a brief tour of the Native American section of the Roosevelt County History Museum, so you can see these displays and exhibits in context with the artifacts they describe. As the second time I've conducted a class project in conjunction with the museums here at Eastern New Mexico, I gained numerous insights which will be valuable to future iterations of this course, as well as applicable to other researchers looking to implement these ideas at their own institutions. One challenge we faced this semester was that there was no uniform color scheme or typeface at the Roosevelt County History Museum. And so because of this, we had to spend 2 of our co-working sessions just figuring out what color designs and what typefaces would work best for the museum. With one co-working session, devoted to the graphic arts students presenting their different ideas about typefaces and color schemes for the museum. And then in a later session, the anthropology and graphic arts classes, along with the director of the museum, voted on their favorite designs. And because there were a number of elements from different design features which participants liked, in the end, they were combined together and to form a finalized version. But in future versions of this course, we're going to skip this design process and reuse the same color scheme and font from the previous project. This change will not only streamline the process of design and create more time for students to actually work on their projects, but it will also help new projects to be integrated into the museum and match the existing projects. This classroom project also incorporated some real-world challenges and decisions when it comes to museum design. For example, when one student had to bring her 7-year-old son to class because of the lack of childcare options, this was not a distraction, but rather it served to enhance the class. This is because the largest demographic of visitors to the Roosevelt County History Museum are elementary school-aged children on classroom field trips. And so because of this, the young boy was able to act as an audience surrogate, and students in the class were able to test the wording and layout of their exhibits with the boy to see if it was appropriate for the target audience. And so future versions of this course will include formal focus groups with museum goers in order to understand how best to convey these exhibit narratives to the museum-going public. So in conclusion, I think this project offers a great case study for looking at how museums and academics can work together to enhance both the educational outcomes of students as well as to revitalize museums. This class project allowed students to gain real-world experience in museum exhibit design, as well as to learn how to share academic writing with the general public. With New Mexico being the state with the highest number of museums per capita, the skills the students acquired during this project helped them position themselves for a career in the museum field. This type of project also provides many benefits for small and local museums, which are often short of funds and resources, and allows them to update their signage and displays at minimal or no cost. Well, that's going to wrap up this virtual presentation about classroom pedagogy and museum exhibit design at Eastern New Mexico University. And whether you're a museum professional or an academic, I hope this presentation has inspired you to new forms of collaboration, which will enhance the museum experience for the general public here in New Mexico. Please feel free to contact me at my email address if you have any questions about this project or would like to know more about the Native American exhibits at the Roosevelt County History Museum. Thanks so much for stopping by and have a great day.